Hello, my name is Kirk Himpton, and in our last video we talked about setting up each of these services in their modules and how that process worked. We used the lawn care module as an example, just because it has such a wide variety of question types. And today what I'd like to show you in this video is how you would go about testing out the module and making sure that it's working the way that you'd like. So with that said, I have already started filling out a call screen. You just simply click on the call screen. And you'll notice that I've put in a little bit of information, but some things that are not required in the call screen are last name, email address, even the street address really isn't necessary. We don't necessarily require as many things in the call screen as you would otherwise need for a customer on your website, for example. So I went ahead and put in the lead sources and house size information. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue on and I'm going to test out the lawn care module that I just set up. So I'm going to click continue, and first thing you'll notice is that we now have all of our questions, and at this point the questions take the customer up to step number 5. Now you already saw that there was some flat rate stuff that was already being considered, and if you have house size information or number of stories, all of that stuff will already be considered before we even start this, so it won't get its own step. But you'll notice in step 1, here are the yards that we make available for the customer. And we can just simply put in some dimensions of a yard in terms of feet. And we could add another yard. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and throw in a front and a backyard. And then if you have flower beds, now the nice thing that you can note is that you could name your flower bed is under garden window, and they're able to name them and add as many as they like. And you'll notice that when they add one, they can also delete one, but you can't ever delete the first one. And you'll also probably note here that if the customer doesn't have a garden, they don't have to enter one in. But I'm just going to put a little 5x5 garden in there and tell us about the number of trees you have. Now you remember that anything that was taller than 20 feet is going to flag bid in person. So I'd like to actually get a bid to go through, and I think I had a minimum set there. So I'm going to go ahead and just put 5 shrubs, and I'm going to leave everything else there. If I had shrubs set so that the customer prompted, if I tried to click the continue button, it actually would bring me back and tell me in the red here that I need to have at least a certain number. So I'm going to go ahead and just put that, and then we added lawns. This is something that we added. There was one other thing I was going to show you, is that notice that this is the description text. And not only does this one have a picture, but a description text. We can check to make sure that everything that we want to see is there, and we can also note that we can put in our linear feet as we need to. Do you have an automated sprinkler system? You can see that by default the answer is no, but if I click yes, it'll allow for that. And also, is your lawn basically flat? At this point there is no default selection, and that's because whatever is selected, and something must be selected, if I say no, then I'm given that question. If I select yes, then I'm not given any other selections there. So looks like everything's working the way that we'd want. This is normally where you could put some notes in about a customer, but because I'm just doing a test, I'm going to go ahead and click on get the bid. It will take me to the proposal. I can make sure that this matches what I was expecting from my package building. You can see all the lines there that differentiate between my packages from step 1 in the module area, Service Builder. And then I can also select a package if I want. But what I'm most interested in right now is going to the customer profile and probably just playing around with it a little bit. The first question, of course, I'd ask myself is, based on the information I've provided, would I expect these prices to be this way? And if not, I would open that up and I would look inside to see if there are prices matching what I was expecting for each individual line item. And anytime you see a little arrow, you can see that we can even bring it down to say there's a 25 by 45 by 10 cents. That's where we got that number. And you can flip any of these down that you want to see where that number came from. And then, of course, you can also play around by just putting in new numbers. Maybe you want to have a tree there. In fact, let's go ahead and flag a bid in person. We know that that's going to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save. When I resave it, you can see that there's my bid in persons as we expected. And all I have to do is click on that, click on this, and say for that tall tree, I want to charge $45 for this service. You see it just switched to green. And I can do the same thing in the very best package where I click on bid in person. I drill down to the part that's giving me the issue. I can say what I'd like that to be, and now I can run the quote. And the testing portion will be very much that way, where you can just use the same bid over and over, see how it's being calculated, make sure that you like it, and add as many options as you'd like to test by just simply changing that. Once you've done this, then you can, and you feel good about it, you can feel good about that module remaining active and going public. So I hope that helps, and of course if you have any other questions, you always can feel free to click here in the chat icon or head on to our next video where we'll be discussing how you can actually make adjustments to a bid.